Welcome to On the Corner of Main Street, presented by Plaza Hotel and Casino in downtown Las Vegas. Here is Plaza CEO Jonathan Jossel, Russell Aaron, Gary Vickery, and I'm your host, Lisa Melmed. Today we have a very special guest. We are joined by Derek Stevens, owner of the D, Golden Gate, Circa Sports, and Circa. Welcome to On the Corner of Main Street.
Great to be here. Great to be up here this early in the morning. I don't think I've been at Oscars this early before.
Yeah, we should have done it a little later in the evening so we could have had some drinks here. But, you know, it's funny. We always sit in here talking about what's happening across the street, and I'm very happy to be able to be here with Derek, the man who's actually making it happen. So thank you for joining us, Derek.
Thanks, Jonathan. No, glad to be here.
Derek, can you give us a quick background of yourself and how you ended up in downtown Las Vegas?
Oh, yeah, quick background. I'll try to make this quick. I came out here in 2006, and I walked into the Golden Gate, and I picked up the house phone, and Mark Brandenburg was the owner, and one thing led to the next. We met, a few minutes later, and I said I was interested in coming out to Las Vegas. I was interested in moving our investment portfolio out to Vegas, and as part of that, I wanted to get into the hotel, casino, gaming business. And Mark said he was looking for a partner. So we kind of hit it off pretty well, and my brother and I bought 50% of the Golden Gate. Took us until March of 2008 to get licensed. And then we kind of went from there. And 2008, the big recession hit and kind of cleared out downtown. But in that time period, I really came to love. I had always loved Las Vegas, but I really came to love downtown Las Vegas and Fremont Street. So one thing led to the next, and we had an opportunity to buy Fitzgerald's in 2011. And then, a few years later, we had an opportunity with Jonathan and Poyu to purchase the Las Vegas club. And, that really set the table for a handful of things to occur that in retrospect, you would say would be highly, highly unlikely. After Jonathan and I reached agreement with the Vegas club, then kind of reached out to a fellow by the name of Steve Bernstein. He owned Mermaids and Bayou and the Glitter Gulch, and I called him up and I said, "Hey, what's the chance that you would potentially be interested in selling?" And that those businesses had been in his family for a long, long time. And he said, "It's kind of funny. My daughter is leaving for college this year, and I think I'm interested in selling." So we thought, "Wow, okay."
Yeah, good timing.
So the timing was really unbelievable. And Steve's father was a pretty legendary guy in Vegas, and I thought that was just such a random phone call. And he said, "Yeah." We ended up taking a little while. We worked out the deal, and then after that happened, then we reached out to Boyd Gaming. So for the property here, on Main Street, just north of the plaza, Boyd had a lot that had been empty for quite a while. And I said, "Hey, we're working on putting this project together, and the scope of it was really dependent upon what type of land and assemblage we put together. So would you be interested in selling?" And they said, "Well, if it's for the right project." And we spent a little bit of time with Boyd, and we worked a deal out there. And then we had one little last piece over here, and he owned the T-shirt shop. Heimke Bay did, and ironically, I reached out to him because I figured we were going to have to build something that was horseshoe shaped, kind of like the way Cosmo had to do around
the place, the Polo Towers.
Yeah, around was it Polo?
No,
Towers?
the Jockey Club. Jockey Club, yeah.
And he said, "You know what? I just closed on a deal on the corner of Las Vegas Boulevard and Sahara, the world's largest gift shop. So yeah, I'd be willing to sell you this because then I can use it in the cash in a 1031 exchange to be able to buy that." And one thing led to the next, and there's this little short window, and we ended up owning the city block. And once that happened, that's when all of a sudden, the scope of this project got a lot bigger. My father's an architect, and he was the one that said, "You actually were lucky enough to get this assemblage." He goes, "Think bigger, think bigger," and then that's kind of how it happened.
It sounds like a great game of Monopoly. Let me ask you, how is Mark?
Mark's great.
I saw him at the Centennial Commission a couple of months ago, maybe 6-8 months ago.
Yeah, Mark still maintains an office inside the Golden Gate.
Oh, good.
Mark is currently, and has been now, because we purchased Mark's remaining shares of the Golden Gate, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, something like that. And Mark has taken a position with the Fremont Street Experience.
Okay.
And he's actually the chairman of the board, and has been for that 3-4 years. So,
oh, nice.
And he's doing well. He's doing well. He's up. He's hiking a lot. And he's down here. I see him at least a couple times a month. So he's doing great.
Good to hear. So that story you just told is amazing, and I love hearing it every time. And I'm glad to be a small part of it. But I am curious, and I've known you now, I guess, 12 years that I've been in town, 13 years now. But before you came out here and made that call to Mark, did you used to come out here on vacation and hang out, or were you always into betting yourself? And what were you doing in Detroit? You're from Detroit originally.
Right, I'm from Detroit. I have a business in Detroit and in the Midwest still. We're a manufacturer, and I still have that business. And I, as part of that, I run an investment portfolio. And we were always attracted to Las Vegas because there's no income tax in the state. So that was really one of the key elements of moving our investment portfolio from Michigan. And in doing so, I had always enjoyed coming to Las Vegas for business, trade shows, conventions, things like that. But I also loved it for pleasure. And I was a big, I would say I was a big sports fan, big fight fan. So I always kind of scheduled my trips to Vegas orientated around a Lennox Lewis fight or a Mike Tyson fight or something like that. So I love
Lennox Lewis, pride of England.
There you go. There we go.
Exactly.
So you guys both moved here around the same time. Was the first time you met for the sale of the Las Vegas Club, or have you met before?
No, we knew each other way before that.
Yeah, we knew each other far before that. Yeah. So when did you come out here? Was it 2006?
I moved
or
out
2008?
here July 2007.
Okay. Yeah, we met. We met because we're next door neighbors right away. Yeah.
Yeah, we were. I know one time I remember meeting with you on Fremont Street, and you were just showing me, it was before the zip line, there was a stage, and you had all the girls had just started coming out. Just started doing all the dancing dealers and everything, and there was a show they would come out and dance on Fremont Street.
Right.
I remember having a drink with you out there on Fremont Street. That must have been, I actually have the picture. I'll send you the picture later.
Oh, that's
I have
cool.
the picture of you and I in front of the old stage that used to be over there from like 2000, maybe 9, I want to say.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Right around when we closed this place for the remodel. Yeah.
And so you both are always on the casino floor. We know where to find you, Derek, at the D, at the bar. What do you think is so important about having a presence on the floor with the guests and being available to them?
Well, when I came into the Golden Gate, I had always thought that one of the greatest things of buying into probably the smallest hotel casino in Vegas and the oldest, with the address of 1 Fremont Street, I had the ability to kind of accelerate learning curve. I was always very respectful of people who grew up and lived and worked in the casino industry their entire careers, and I knew that an outsider coming in, if there's one thing I knew for sure is you can get schooled pretty quickly around here. So I had the opportunity to be on the floor, and I think got to accelerate my education on the beverage business and on the slot business and on the table business and the hotel business. And for me, I had a desire to go through an accelerated learning curve, and I thought the Golden Gate just provided this little place where you were able to do it. I'd owned an interest in the Riviera. That was a pretty big property at that point in time, and I just thought getting into the Golden Gate gave me a couple things. First, the ability to get licensed in Nevada. And then number 2, the ability to start learning about the business.
There's no better way, for me at least, to learn by being on the floor, talking to customers, talking to team members that have been here for 25, 30 years, seeing what they're all doing. That's the best way to learn the business, is literally being down on the floor with them. So for me, that was, I would just stand there and watch for traffic patterns and see what people are doing. That made the most sense. And, is there anyone that you sort of look at and say, from the history you mentioned, paying respect to those people, but is there anyone specifically that you look at as somebody you admire their style of management or development or things that have happened in this town before?
Well, I think the answer to that is yes, and it's a lot of people. I've always loved studying Las Vegas and Las Vegas history, and then and then the characters that go along with it. And I just think that, as Las Vegas changes and it's always reinventing itself, the characters and the managers at those eras really stand out. And sometimes a character from, let's say, 30, 40 years ago might have a more difficult time, in today's age. And I think like today, our managers may have a more difficult time 20 years from now, just because consumer tastes change and desires. I love seeing some elements that show a big change. When you go back to, let's just say in the 70s, or go back to when Caesar's Palace and Jay Sarno was there. I mean, I'm a big Sarno fan because I loved his creativity, and you think about what was built. I mean, it was a property that was built that was set back from the main road of Las Vegas Boulevard, and the intent was, when someone flies into Las Vegas and they're going to give you 48 to 72 hours of their life, of their leisure time, you want to provide this all-encompassing experience where you get off the plane, you check in at Caesars, and you never leave Caesars again until you're heading back to the airport. And that model worked for quite a while, but then, it's evolved. People want to now get out and see other properties and things like that. So I think, the way Sarno started Caesars, and then eventually you had Circa Circus, which was a different animal for sure. And then you see, what happened at the Sands, and then now it's Bally's, but the old MGM. Just how things have evolved has always been very, very interesting to me. I think how Vegas really changed with what's now CES. That was a major change where conventions became not just fill up a ballroom during a slow time, but all of a sudden the convention business became a huge component. And then you see the expansions of the Las Vegas Convention Center, and then you see with the Sands Expo.
You feel now, without any conventions, how important they are to the city.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But speaking of big changes, you're making one of the biggest changes in downtown, and we'll get to Circa. But before that, let's talk about the sale of the Las Vegas Club. We had Vital Vegas on last week, who mentioned some interesting details about the sale, and I was just wondering how many times you both had to meet. How did that happen? Like, how long did that take?
Well,
what goes into a casino sale?
It might have been the longest discussion I could ever recollect. I mean, I think from the first time when we were talking about it, but that's back when we were talking about the Vegas Club, and then I think Jonathan with yourself, and I think Harry and a few others. Then all of a sudden the Western, we were talking about that, and then we didn't, that wasn't really what our game plan was, and then we kind of reached agreement, but then we didn't cross the goal line. And then I would say, what was it? It was a few years later when we finally said, hey, let's get this deal done.
It was the longest and the quickest. I think the only reason I came up with Scott was because he somehow knew about it prior to it actually happening. But it was the longest because of what Derek just said. And then actually when the time came, I was out of the country for 2 weeks, and it literally was the quickest close I think ever for such a size deal.
I agree. I think that's a good way to put it. The longest discussion, and then when it finally happened, it was the quickest deal we ever had.
It was unbelievable, and I give Derek great credit for that because he was a man of his word and really came through on everything he said. So I guess thank you for what happened 5 years ago, and thank you for what's happening across the street now. Because in hindsight, it was the best thing, not just for us, for you, but for the whole area to see this excitement, this energy. And I've always believed, even 10 years ago, Main Street would become one of the best streets in downtown, if not the best, and that's exactly what we're seeing now, is Main Street really starting to change. Not just because of Circa, but because of Greyhound. Greyhound finally leaving next year.
Is it next year? It's 2021.
50 years. 50 years later, 1971.
I got a story. I have a story about this that I could tell you. So we met in, what did we just say, 2007?
Must have been around 7 or 8, yeah.
And I can tell you that Jonathan and I had a discussion about Greyhound then. And now it's finally come to pass. Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, I didn't do anything. The 50 years is up. We waited it out. I mean, that was it. We tried for, 10 years to relocate them amicably and couldn't figure it out. And
Yeah, I don't know if it's proprietary, but I remember you telling me over the years, you made this offer, you made this offer.
Yeah, no, we did.
And I'm scratching my head thinking, my God, how could they not take this?
I guess maybe the part of it was, one, how did they not take it? But part of it is probably who knows what's going to happen to bus travel. I mean, with air travel becoming so much more affordable, they probably didn't want to sign long leases. And anyway, they had a 50-year lease from 1971, July 1971. So we're 12 months. The window's on. The countdown's on.
Well, I'm excited about what you're going to do down here on Main Street. You got so much great property, and it's exciting to see. So yeah, I'm happy to hear that, and I'm happy for you.
What would you do with the space if you had it?
You know what? My creativity's all going in over Circa right now. I think Jonathan's got a lot of ideas. You've had some time to think about it, so I know you.
Yeah, we have.
You probably have renderings and all kinds of different ideas of what you want to do, and we want to be supportive.
Thank you. Yeah, we've been working on it for a while now. Obviously, the last few months has changed a few of our ideas, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully, by next year, it'll be a good time to start really doing that project. Yeah, for sure.
Have you ever built anything from scratch, like a house?
Yeah. We've definitely, in my business in Detroit, we've built a handful of manufacturing plants that grew out of greenfields. I would say, yeah, we have some experience in that, but certainly not anything in Las Vegas of this scale. Actually, we just finished a complete greenfield project in Las Vegas, just up Main Street, right on the corner of Main Street and Bonanza. We just completed our new warehouse.
That's the warehouse down there. Yeah, it's beautiful. Warehouse. It's great.
So it's that was a greenfield type of project, but it's a warehouse. It's not a tower. So we've had some experience in building some greenfield things, but never anything that had scale like this or this many, architects and engineers and things like this.
Was there anything that came up during the planning process that was surprising or that you might not have thought about before?
I can tell you when he was demolishing the Las Vegas Club, they stumbled across some really weird things that were still in the building.
Like what?
Yeah, there was some, I think, like 1,000 old uniforms or something like that. Cheerleader uniforms. I think that was the old uniform at the, what was the name of the second floor restaurant here at Vegas Club?
The Great Moments Room.
Great Moments, yeah. I think there's a whole room of older blue and yellow uniforms that were falling out.
I remember the Great Moments Room was the one downstairs. The one I don't remember now. The one upstairs. It's been closed for so long. The one upstairs.
Wasn't there a chicken wing, or the place where you had your dish on the menu?
No, that was Tinoco's. That was much later on. The original name, the Great Moments Room, was the one downstairs. But there was the boxing ring upstairs by the EDR.
Right.
Weird place.
Wow. Yeah. Did you see any ghosts?
No, but during demolition, I kind of stood on Fremont Street. We all had to kind of keep our distance here. So, but no, it was of anything. When the Glitter Gulch came down,
there's some ghosts in there for sure.
Yeah, that didn't take long to knock that little building down.
So you're also building Garage Mahal.
Garage Mahal, correct.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, I've said this on a handful of podcasts and interviews over the years. I think I probably first publicly did it when I was on a 500 by Midnight podcast. Probably, I think that's maybe 4 years ago. But I've always thought that a parking experience doesn't have to be a bad experience. And this isn't really so much a hotel casino thing. This is more around the country. And when you're in a dense area like New York City, parking garages are low ceilinged and dirty and not well lit, and I've always thought that a parking garage didn't necessarily have to be like that. And what ended up occurring is I wanted to create something that people didn't call a parking garage, and I wanted to do something where it was going to be great enough to give it a name. And then what really was the key thing for Garage Mahal was the fact that Circa will be the very first casino ever designed and built since ride-sharing technology has come out. If you think of some of the newest hotel properties, whether it be Aria or whether it be Cosmopolitan or Encore, ride-sharing technology was never in anyone's mind. And we wanted to create something that we thought was going to be the easiest and best ride-sharing location, really anywhere in Vegas, and have that really thought through and designed into how Circa's going to work.
I'm thrilled to hear that, because it'll ease up what happens on Main Street here with ride sharing, where it's just complete chaos.
Yeah,
everyone pulling up everywhere, stopping in the middle of the street. So it definitely is something that needed to be thought about. That's great you did that.
Yeah, so we're gonna make Garage Mahal something special. We're gonna have some art in there. We're gonna have a huge chandelier. We're gonna have music. It's gonna be very well lit. We're gonna have a private showroom for some of the higher end vehicles for some of the bigger players, and we're gonna have some concierge elements on the floors, and it's gonna be a destination. Transportation, pick up and drop off, destination, parking place, and it's going to be a place where we're just going to take parking kind of to a different level.
Can't wait to see it. And what do you think a resort-styled casino will do to downtown culture?
Well, I think let me give you one example of how maybe the mindset's a little bit flip-flopped with what we did with Circa. Historically, pools have always been designed and constructed as an amenity to a hotel, and they get treated as an amenity to a hotel. It was only until relatively recent in historical times did any pools ever become destinations. And when you think about Wet Republic, or you think about Encore Beach Club as example, these are destination experiences. They're not made for just Wynn Hotel guests or MGM Hotel guests, but people to come and visit, similar to a nightclub. And I always thought that the pool scene in Las Vegas could have been much more, because Las Vegas is probably the best location in the country for pools, with 30 days of sunshine a year and such. And I thought that you could create a great experience, enjoying the sun, enjoying the outside. But the only opportunities are, you have to love EDM, and you have to love going to see Chainsmokers. You have to love going to see Tiesto or Avicii. And,
do you love Tiesto?
I love EDM. I love EDM. Matter of fact, I took our chief operating officer to see Avicii way back when at Encore Beach Club, and
we used to hang out at EDC back in the day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I personally love it, but the problem I always thought was that it's too narrow of a focus, and I think that there's a lot of people that love going to their pool, but they're kind of forced to only go to their hotel pool, and their hotel pool may or may not be great. It might be okay, but the whole premise of okay, we're going to the hotel pool and you have to show a room key and then you get in. We wanted to kind of change that. So Circa is going to open up with 512 rooms. We're shelling out 7 floors, so we're going to open with 512. But our outdoor pool amphitheater, now that it's publicly known, is going to be called Stadium Swim. We hope to do 4,000 people a day through Stadium Swim. So it's far more than...
So anyone in the public can come up.
Yeah.
Through the escalators you're going to have on the side there?
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to give an opportunity for the hotel guests of our properties, of Golden Gate, the D, and of Circa. They'll have the ability to get in an hour before the public. But yeah, I mean, the Stadium Swim is really built as a destination. So it's really built as an attraction for people to come and visit downtown. So I guess that was a long-winded answer to go to the fact that I think it's going to change downtown because a lot of what we're building is attraction-based inside the property. So we're really kind of matching up with what Fremont Street does. I mean, 24 million visitors a year, but there's only 6,000 hotel rooms downtown. So with 24 million visitors, we're trying to create more attractions for people to come down and give us a splash of 4 hours or 6 hours, have fun during the day or in the evening.
It's also a massive change for down here, because myself and Derek included, what we've been able to do with existing buildings is somewhat limited, because you're dealing with existing buildings. They've all the places that have redone have been great remodels, but this is completely brand new, ground up. So he can do things like what he just described with the pool deck. Like we tried to add more pools up here, but we couldn't do it because of the existing structure. So we were limited with the existing building within the confines of that. This is a blank slate to create basically the vision that you had for the property.
Yeah, I mean, I think, what we tried to do is we tried to design something that we thought would provide attractions to get people to come downtown to our property. And obviously, if they come to our property, as we all know, the statistics, if you visit downtown Las Vegas on Fremont Street, on the average person's going to visit 3.5 casinos because it's so walkable and everything like that. So I think that, there's going to be great spillover to, from the Cal to the Boyd properties to the Plaza to the Golden Nugget and everything. So I think this is something that I think will help everybody.
Congratulations on moving up the opening date as well. That's great. I can't wait to see it. I hope there's sports. For us to. I don't know about fans in the sports, but I'm sure there'll be sports by then.
Yeah,
at least football will be back on by then, I hope.
We're hoping football. We're hoping baseball starts here very shortly. We're hoping hockey starts very shortly, and we're obviously pretty sports oriented, so we're certainly hopeful.
Let's jump into some questions from social media because some people have questions about Circa specifically. LV Jasper asks, why did you make the decision to make Circa 21 plus?
Jasper, that became that's a great question there. That was something that I've always thought about, and I maybe subconsciously I always thought about my very first time coming to Las Vegas. I got a hotel room with a buddy of mine, and I stayed at the Dunes Hotel. And I remember having a sport coat and thinking, you better wear a sport coat if you go to Vegas. And you went in, and in that era, you would never have dreamed about seeing, someone with a stroller. It's just that the times were different. And I always thought that, what Steve Wynn wanted to do at Bellagio and then really wanted to do when he opened the Wynn, I think it's his tagline that when they opened the Wynn was no strollers, only high rollers. Okay. I think that it certainly has to be credited to their organization. That I think they initially started it, but then what ended up happening, they ended up having too many issues with groups, whether it's conventions or with maybe some of the international tourists. Oftentimes, if you might have a huge Baccarat player that comes over for 2 weeks, they're probably going to bring quite a range of an extended family, and they got themselves as close as could be, but there was a loss of too much business from maybe the international side and then from the hotel side. And when you have 6,000 hotel rooms, it's pretty tough to say, okay, I'm gonna give up a certain number of bookings. We're in a different situation. We are not leveraged to our hotel rooms, and we've created these attractions that are all going to be 21 and over. From our rooftop, which we're going to announce here in a couple weeks, what we're doing up there with Stadium Swim, with our sports book, that everything we're doing is orientated around 21 and over. So we thought, why not go back to this experience and create the entire property to be 21 and over? And there's 4 entrances at Circa, 3 on the first floor, 2 of which are on Fremont Street. One is the Porte Cochere on Ogden, and then we've got the bridge coming from Garage Mahal. We thought it would do 2 things. First, it'll allow us to maintain ID checks on the outside of the property.
So that's the plan. You're going to ID check people.
Absolutely, which dramatically changes how we manage security inside. And even though I said this first, that's the second issue. The real primary issue is the fact that I believe there are a lot of people that fly in from whatever town they're in, hometown USA, and when they're coming in, they've spent a lot of time thinking about their own children. And when they're here on a Friday, Saturday night, they've put a lot of time and effort into bringing grandma or grandpa into town to watch the kids, or moving the kids somewhere else. And obviously everybody loves their kids. I mean, I love my 3 kids. I mean, you've got younger ones than me, Jonathan. But there's a certain element that when you come to Las Vegas, I think that people want to just kind of let loose, and it's kind of tough when a guy has an expensive scotch in front of him. He may not smoke, but he might be smoking a cigar on that given weekend, and he's got a marker, he's got some cash in his pocket, and at midnight he trips over a stroller. It's just a bad blend, and again, this has nothing against children in any manner, and what we're doing is nothing like adult orient, like nothing. This is not like any XXX element. This just is simply that this is a venue for people that are 21 and over, and we want you to have a great time. We think we're going to be able to provide a much higher level of customer service because of it.
Well, I think you're creating an escape for people, as you just described, that want to do things in a certain way. I think everyone in the town's going to be watching, because I think probably many would like to do it, just haven't had the, I guess, for lack of a better word, the guts to do it yet, or maybe they rely too much on conventions and other demographics. But I think people are going to be watching, because it certainly creates an atmosphere of the clientele that you just described. And I will tell you that since we started doing ID checks and temperature checks upon entry, we only have 2 doors open for the whole plaza, and there's probably 40 to 50 people a day we turn away with who don't even have ID. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just it's the downtown crowd that wants to just come into the building, but it actually is a good plan to control those entrances we've learned over the last few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's that odd of a scenario. In Las Vegas, if you go to XS or you go to Hakkasan, well, of course you have to show ID. It's very normal. If you go to casinos in Europe, you have to show your ID. You have to show a passport. You have to sign in. Very normal. Las Vegas has always been a little bit different, but I just the key thing for us was that we think that we'll be able to provide maybe a little higher level of customer service, and I think it makes things special.
I do have 3 younger kids, and I can't imagine wanting to go to Vegas with those 3 younger kids right now. Yeah, I would sooner stay home. Yeah, for sure.
Will it be smoking or non-smoking?
No, we'll be smoking for sure. Absolutely. Matter of fact, I'm promoting smoking, drinking, and gambling. There's no hesitation on my part on that, and I realize smoking is a hot topic, and particularly in the summer of 2020, it's a hot topic. But I'm a believer that there's an awful lot of people that are considered to be non-smokers that when they come to Vegas, they order a cigar. There's a lot of people that don't smoke but somehow smoke on a golf course. There's a lot of people that don't smoke that I know are going to smoke up at Stadium Swim. I mean, outdoor venue. One of the key elements of
sorry, Doug. One question: will there be gaming up there, or is that private still?
No, we're going to have we'll have a small pit up there at Stadium Swim.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the key things that went into the design of Circa, it hasn't really been widely publicized yet. So, but I think it is public. But so it's not breaking news. But Circa will be the first property that we spent a lot of time thinking about airflow and air quality. And this goes back, I was looking at my notes yesterday, this goes back to a discussion in 2017. And we will have no air ducts in the ceiling. All of the air at Circa will be coming from the floor. So all the cooling comes from the floor, all the heating comes from the floor. And there's two things about it. One when we looked at it, what it does is it provides you the ability to have a more efficient building. Because realistically, if you have a ceiling height that's 18 feet tall and it's 72 degrees up on the ceiling, that doesn't impact customer experience. Really, only thing that matters for how you feel is from the ground to the 7 foot level, and you cool from the floor, and then as you go higher, the temperatures are higher, so it costs less to cool. The other thing, because of the question you just asked about smoking, I'm as people know, I'm a smoker, but I fully respect individuals that don't like smoke. Whether you're a smoker or not a smoker, a lot of people don't like smoke in their area, in their personal zone, And we designed something where the airflow is always going up. So the intent is that we are going to be pro-smoking, but we will provide the cleanest air and breathing environment for everyone. And this was done a few years ago, far before the pandemic element. So there's elements like this that I think are going to be very unique to the structural design. And I'm all about trying to have some things with product differentiation. It's not like you're going to take a property and be able to redo this. You can't. Yeah.
Bruce P asks, with Circa being adults only, will the pool area be topless or have an area for topless bathing?
No, we're not going down any of those type of paths. Even though we're 21 and over, we're not going down any X or triple X or anything else like that. And in matching up with customers, we're going to be very active with regards to social media. I think if you see some of the European style pools in Las Vegas. I don't know if it's Nero Pool or when you go into the pool at Caesars, they have a European bathing
Venus
pool.
Yeah.
Just to the right when you walk in. And
I know these things.
Okay.
Where do I go on Sundays?
There's one place. There's a place at Mirage Bear Pool, and all that. I think that the European bathing element it works. It's a niche, but we're kind of going down a different path, and that path is we want people to use social media. We want a lot of Instagram stories. We like to have a lot of Facebook Live. We want people taking pictures all over. And in some of the topless pools, some of the requirements are no pictures and no video. And with something like this, I just can see, we could have a big Golden Knights playoff game and the crowd's roaring and people want to have their phones out, similar to what really we did at the downtown Las Vegas Event Center. People are in such a exuberant mood that I know there's going to be a lot of phones out. So we've decided we do not want to go down that European bathing.
That's a shame because I was going to sell the rooms facing the pool for a premium if you were. Let's do a couple more because I know Derek has to go soon. So choose your best crowd questions. Your best fan questions.
At AJ Angelila 13 asks, what are each of your 5-year visions for downtown Vegas?
Well, I can go first. I think I don't really look at it from a 5-year thing because it's changed so much. But for us, the focus is still Main Street and what happens to Main Street. I'd love to see the 800 units living on Symphony Park somehow connecting to downtown. I think that's something that misses from downtown is that local demographic that we just don't have a lot of because there isn't enough living down here yet. So with these 800 units being built on Symphony Park, I'm excited to see how that connects over here. And then obviously our development of Greyhound and hopefully more food and beverage coming down to Main Street would be the key to that.
Yeah, I'm glad you actually mentioned these 2 new projects on Symphony Park. They're really moving along.
It's crazy. It's great to see.
It's terrific to see. I know just from our group of, let's say, some of our younger executives and such, they've really gravitated towards living downtown. I think we probably have we have a whole lot of people over at Fremont 9. I know when these properties open up, people that are working at Circa or working at our properties are going to be pretty active about living in these two new developments on Symphony Park.
Yeah, because we get the 24 million tourists, well, primarily tourists to Fremont Street, but where we lack is sometimes locals coming downtown, having enough locals, and then also that new convention center being built on Symphony Park. Those two things could be a huge booster down here as well.
Yeah, I think they're both very critical. I think in 5 years where I would see downtown, I would say visitation will set records. I would say that the expansion of Main Street is going to be very, very exciting. That you're planning on doing, and I just think overall visitation and the ability to have some more rooms, some more higher end rooms. I love what the Cal did, with their renovation. I know you've done, new rooms here at the Plaza. I think the product we're bringing downtown will just bring more people and a broader range of people. So I just think you're going to see a lot of continued growth downtown.
At Whispers Vegas says or asks, what is one thing you have learned from each other over the years? And if you could steal one thing from each other's concepts, what would it be?
Ooh. Okay. I think for me, watching Derek, there's two things really that I admire. One is his ability to interact with people on the floor, hang out there, be a part of not just with customers, but with his team. Whenever I go on my walks downtown, I can run into him any given night, hanging out, and to see him doing that is wonderful. And then the way he creates excitement and energy, his promotions. I'd love some of his sports betting tips because he seems to always have these long shots out there, and I admire that. But his ability to create excitement, energy in his properties is something that I think people, when they walk around different places, you walk into a building, you want to feel that excitement and that energy, and he creates that in abundance. So for us, it's definitely something I like.
Well, I could tell you first. Thanks. I would tell you from my perspective, coming into the plaza, let's say a decade ago, compared to where the plaza is today, is really, really amazing. And this is really 100%. I would put on Jonathan. I know you've got a team and things like that, but realistically, what the plaza was and what the plaza is really a complete transformation. And I know when you do that, transformations always continue to evolve. I mean, obviously the Greyhound element's going to be the next big transformation, but I think when you take an older building and you change culture and you change design and you change the whole element, that's an overwhelming task. I think I had a little bit of first-hand experience on this with Fitzgerald's going to the D. What Jonathan's done here is just remarkable.
Thank you, Derek. Appreciate that.
We had a lot of comments about people saying how cool it is that you two have a working relationship despite maybe being competitors, even though we're all trying to attract attract people to downtown Las Vegas.
Let me jump on this one here.
Yeah.
Well, I would tell you that's one thing that's really unique about downtown Las Vegas is that we all kind of know each other. I mean, I got a text from Tillman Fertitta, this morning, and I talked with Terry Caudle and Tim Lager yesterday, and meeting with Jonathan today. There's an element of downtown Las Vegas. You could say that we're competitors, but I don't really view that as that so much. I really think that we're more basically all in alliance together. We want to get people downtown, and a lot of that has to do with the configuration where, I'm not handing out, $10 a slot free play right in front of the plaza, and Jonathan's not doing it at our place. We just have this agreement that doesn't make any sense for any of us. Let's all work collectively, and our goal is just to get people to downtown. And if that happens, like we said, every visitor is going to visit on average 3.5 casinos. So we all have our own little niche. I mean, that's why I'm so supportive of what Boyd does with their flights, their daily flights to Hawaii, and that niche. I love.
It's another one you feel right now. Without that happening, you see the importance of that. All these little things, you see the importance of that.
Yeah, and then you see how everybody really goes after their own kind of niche, so to speak. But we're all very supportive of everybody's projects. Every time the Golden Nugget wants to have a big event, we're always supportive of that. Everybody was supportive of our downtown Las Vegas Event Center with concerts, because when the concert ends, not everybody goes home. Usually they're ready to roll. And with the events that you've had here at the Plaza, we're very supportive of everyone else here, and I think that's probably the most unique difference. So yeah, it's very natural for us to run into each other. We run into each other, without having a meeting scheduled, far more often than when we have meetings scheduled. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we're walking around, and yeah, I agree with Derek. We don't see each other down here, any of us down here, as competitors. It's purely the betterment of downtown, and the more people that come down here, it's no coincidence that as we look at our own performance over the last 4 or 5 years being much, much better, and it's partly because we've improved the property, but downtown's been outpacing the growth of the Strip and every other area in the state, basically. So I think for us, it's more important to compete with and make downtown better than to compete with each other.
Yeah, I think a lot of what downtown does as well. Together, we all kind of work together to bring people downtown. But again, because there's only 6,000 hotel rooms, the business model that we all have is a little bit different than maybe what the Strip has, and it's not necessarily competition either. The model's different. The Strip has 150,000 hotel rooms that they need to fill. So with the events that happen downtown, it's just another reason to come to Las Vegas. I mean, think about when Life is Beautiful was happening and the number of people that were coming to Life is Beautiful. Obviously, not all these people could stay here. There's not enough hotel rooms. So Life is Beautiful was a great event for downtown, but it's a great event for all the operators on the Strip as well. So I just think that there's a complementary element of the Strip to downtown.
Love that. Well, thank you so much. We've had the great pleasure of watching Circa be built from our office windows, and we can't wait to see it open and wish you all the success. Thank you for joining us on the corner of Main Street. And you can find Derek on Twitter at Derek J. Stevens.
And I want to say thank you, Derek, as well, for joining us. I want to, we touched on it here at the end, but you've been a great asset to downtown, and it's great to see all of us coming together to try to make this area busy. I know it's a crazy, difficult time for all of us right now, so thank you for your time and joining us on the podcast, and I'm sure I'll see you somewhere downtown over the next week or two.
Oh, I'm sure. All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, Derek.
We'll be back again soon, but in the meantime, please let us know how we're doing and send your questions. Just email us at podcast@plazahotelcasino.com or go right to the top and tweet Jonathan at Jonathan Jossel. Also, please follow us on social media. We have brand new handles. On Twitter and Instagram, it's at PlazaPod, and on Facebook, find us at Plaza Podcast. We'll see you next time from right here on the corner of Main Street.